Hi everyone, it's Norman and Kochnek here for Eyes on Cricket. The important thing to remember, this show is on every night. We try to make it every time about 10:30 p.m. or thereabouts my time, which is 5 p.m. Indian Standard Time, or IST, I believe. And then you look at times in England at 11:30 a.m., as early as 7 a.m. in America, and various other time slots. Now, it's very good spread of people that normally come. The reality is that we can't have people on every night, and I'm quite happy for people not to be on every night. We've got so many people we draw upon, they've got to have nights off like I do, but I'm pretty keen to get this done. The reality is that it's been an amazing, I just watched the replay just about 5 minutes earlier of India and England, and hello official side, you've got the Rays there, Vasant and Rahane. The reality is that Rahane and Lakshya Silva. So we're all here. Chris is having a day off, but he'll be here tomorrow. Obviously, tomorrow is a very big day. It's the third ODI between India and England, and we will have both a pre-show and a post-show on. Amresh Suris, how are you? The reality is we're going to have a pre and post-show. I'm expecting a lot of our people to be back. That'll be a Sunday night. I had an unfortunate day. My mother, yet again, has had issues. She's almost 90 years old. She had a fainting spell, which I've mistaken for something more serious. Called an ambulance. She's brought to hospital. She's currently an overnight observation. So unfortunate, but that's the way life goes. And she's nice and under control and stable back in the hospital, Prince of Wales Hospital, one of the best hospitals here in Sydney and in Randwick. I'm in Coogee. Randwick and Coogee are basically next to each other. If you know the Sydney Cricket Ground, you have the Paddington end and the Randwick end. Well, the Randwick end also has a race course, then a hospital, and I'm then further behind that in a suburb called Coogee. So I'm very, very close. Thank you, Lakshya Sharma. The reality is that she's struggling a little bit. There's a few unfortunate things found out today. I was a bit sad, but she's resting nicely in hospital now, so she'll have a pleasant night. And yeah, that's life, unfortunately. It's one of those things, guys, that you'll face in life, I'm sure, with COVID throughout the world, whether we're in America, in England, in parts of Europe, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Canada, UAE, is something of an issue which certainly COVID-19, the pandemic, is still well and truly in train. In Australia, in Sydney, we're 60 plus days of no new COVID cases. I believe no one's in hospital, no one's on ventilators, no one's in any danger. We have now lifted all masks from everything, even public transport, buses and trains and taxis, Ubers. As of Monday, that's all gone. In fact, it's literally gone now. All the restaurants, cafes, open areas, including workplace, maybe hospitals, maybe the only exception. That's just normal hygiene. But I think we still maintain the washing of hands. We maintain a normal distance. We're trying not to cough on people, but we're not going to use masks. It's quite incredible. It's remarkable. We've got 0 cases. Brisbane had 1 or 2 today. Everybody panicked a little bit up there in Brisbane, but generally there's nothing. 0 for 60 days. So therefore, we haven't eradicated. There's no such thing. We're taking the vaccines, but nothing's been eradicated. But our border closures, our quarantine, our contact tracing, where we know exactly where you enter the premises and you have a scanning mechanism, and the scan shows you scan it in, and you then become registered as having been in the place, so they can contact trace everyone. That's amazing coverage. So it's a very impressive situation. So COVID's not an issue, at least not for now. We're, as I said, in nightclubs, venues where there's music or comedy or theatre, all open, no seating gaps. You can sit right next to each other. There's no activity at all. It's quite incredible. That's Sydney. New Zealand, generally it's the same. I think we have the same conditions, and some of the tropical islands, the South Pacific islands, are also COVID-free. So we may have bubbles between those countries, and it's a real pity that Australia did not play South Africa as they planned to, and was stuck with it being cancelled, which has really thwarted Australia's preparation for anything. Some of the players will be in the IPL. Some may play county, but in fact, I doubt that many are going anywhere. Our domestic season was a bit of a fizzer. Nothing really happened. There was not much in that competition. So effectively, Australians are lacking a lot of preparation for what will be the World Cup this year, the T20, even the Ashes series, where it seems like India and England have had a great hit out. Look at the series here, the Test series. Both England had in Sri Lanka and in India. Then they went on with the T20 series, which was a blockbuster, 3-2. And then the Indian series, sorry, the ODI series, which is now 1-1 with a decider tomorrow night. Effectively, India has allowed England to feel pretty good about themselves, even though they didn't win either the series. They've actually they've accounted for themselves brilliantly, and quite frankly, can hold their head up very high. So Adi Hegde, he says, "Who's your favourite IPL team?" My favourite really is Kolkata Knight Riders. My favourite over the years. Chennai Super Kings, I didn't mind because of Dhoni. Currently, I'm favouring Delhi Capitals to win the overall trophy or flag or whatever you want to call it, the IPL trophy. I'm expecting Delhi Devils as they was once called, but Delhi Capitals to do well. And clearly Mumbai Indians will be there as well. There'll be a few others floating around will be up there. But both Chris Vernon and I and a number of other people who are guests will be reporting on the IPL, which starts April 7th through to May 30th. Then we'll flow over to the World Test Championship, which is going to be in England, June 18th, with New Zealand versus India. And that'll be held at the Southampton grounds of Ageas Bowl or Rose Bowl. And that will be where they'll have that. So Sanjay Chambers, Delhi don't have their captain Iyer, so I can't see them winning. Well, I think he was important, but they've still got a very strong side, so I don't agree with you. Am I travelling to the IPL? Well, I'd be there. I'd be there yesterday. I'll be there tomorrow. But it's not a matter of me getting there. It's more a matter of me getting to move around and access. Because at this point in time, I believe, well, there certainly isn't any crowd for the. There's no crowds for the last ODI. There's no media for the last ODI. So I'm expecting in the IPL will struggle in the early sections of the event. Maybe towards the end, we don't know. But at this point, IPL, media-wise and fans-wise, at this point is banned. So we'll wait and see what happens there. Such as Silvams is asking me, who do you think will win the next ODI match between India and England? Honestly, India will bounce back. England, it's every look at the whole the T20s ebbed and flowed. We had England winning, India, England, India, England. That's right. Sorry, I'll get that right. England, India, England, India, and then India again. And then in this series, we've had India, England. A very strong likelihood that India will win the last one, I believe. Yes, exactly. IPL will be played behind closed doors, unfortunately. So that means the players will only be there. There'll be some officials, but there'll be no media. There'll be no fans, which really restricts the reason for me to be there. I'd love to be there, but I want to be there all the time. Don't worry, I'm going to spend plenty of time in India over the incoming months and years. You'll probably see too much of me. So don't worry about that. That's not a problem. I look at some of the. You notice on the Eyes on Cricket with Norman Koshnak YouTube channel, we have a number of so-called tabs across the top. And I might just take a moment to go through that just to make you understand. There's quite a few tabs. One, I'm trying to sort out the channels one that I haven't quite got right, but there is a lot of tabs there that you can access. And for the sake of argument, let's have a look. Just have a little look. So it looks like there's been also been a press release. Before I go to the actual tabs on the website, Brian Murgatroyd, who's from the English media, has just released something on Jofra Archer, and I'll read it to you. England fast bowler Jofra Archer will undergo a procedure to his right hand following a scan and subsequent consultant review since he returned to the UK on Tuesday. He has also had a further injection for the right elbow injury that had seen him declared unfit for selection for the current ODI series against India. So he had the elbow injury, which is chronic, but he also has a procedure happening on his so-called right hand following a scan. The procedure on Jofra's hand will take place on the 29th of March, which is basically on Monday. And so he can recover during the planned break following his elbow injection. So effectively, he's having a procedure on his hand. He's got his chronic elbow injury. Jofra suffered a cut to his hand while cleaning at his home in January, shortly before flying to India to prepare for the Test series. The injury was managed by the ECB's medical staff or team through the tour, and it did not impact on his availability. Further investigation and a specialist opinion was sought upon his return to the UK, and in conjunction with the ECB, the medical panel. It has been decided that surgery is the best option to manage his injury in the longer term. Further details will be provided in due course. So there's both a combination of a cut hand, which was X-ray looked at, and the chronic elbow injury. So that's the latest on Jofra Archer, which is not good, at least, well, certainly not for the IPL, because you would only imagine that his IPL time would be thwarted by these injuries. He may not play there at all. We don't know at this point. So he, along with a few other players, Iyer's another one. Shreyas Iyer is apparently not available for the early sections of the Delhi Capitals program, and we'll see how that goes. So official side is looking forward to the IPL. So am I. I think that'll be great. So MD Sharif, Steve Smith or Rishabh Pant or Ajinkya Rahane, who do you think is the Delhi Capitals captain? Well, really, any one of those three would be good. I don't think Steve Smith will be captain, having just come into the group. Punt, maybe not. But I think Punt and Rahane will probably act as the captaincy team. The decision as to who will be the captain will be. But I think that you have to look at that team. It's pretty damn strong. Delhi Capitals. They should win, in my opinion. No doubt about that. So as you heard me say, I talked about Jofra Archer. Not only is it his chronic elbow injury, but he also has the injury to his that injury will actually be quite significant. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. He certainly is a player who needs a lot of attention, and that's certainly going to be the case. So I'll just quickly take you through. I'm just going to post something for you. You should be able to see. I've just posted on my YouTube channel under the community page. I'll just show it to you. If you see, I'll try my best effort here. You can see on the top there, you can see various tabs. You have the, I was going to say that. You have the home tab, videos, playlists, the community, community is in fact where a lot of the posts are that I put. You'll see there's a lot of posts there. And you can look at all the posts that are there that are related to the community. And that's evidence there. So again, there's the home tab, which has the main section of videos and the like categorized. Videos, all of them. Then you have the playlists, some of them are grouped into playlists. Then you have the community tab, which again is that. You actually can scroll up and there's various things in there about what you may have seen. There's videos that I would like to look at. Goes on quite a bit. Then you have a membership tab. Well, at least I have a membership tab on my iPhone. I believe some people actually have to get it from the laptop or iPad, not iPad, laptop or full computer. Then you have a store, which we haven't quite accessed yet, which we will. Channels as well, other channels that we're looking at, and the About, which talks a bit about what we're all about. So those tabs are there. So on the community tab, you'll see a lot of things I'm putting there. So good morning from Barnstead Boy. Yes, Chris is, Mr. Vernon here. Chris is doing something. He's underway somewhere else. So England want Archer fit for the Ashes. Well, he's going to have to get fit all round, isn't he? I think the IPL could be an issue for him, clearly. The June 18th test match, I think he'll be up for that. That's a one-off test match, so he'll probably be up for that. And the World Cup, well, toss of the coin whether Jofra Archer's fully fit for that, but we would hope that he is. So Chris is also here. Music Harmony's here. So I've got most of the people on there. So I'm wary of the time that we spend on these sessions, and they're very, very important. And I implore you, I want you to put on questions. If one of the our guests would like to be on my show right now, you're more than welcome to join. If you send me your email address, I'll be able to send you the so-called StreamYard link, if you like. So Sai Krishna, I'm not sure whether Sai's actually sent me. He may have already sent me. Let me have a look. One of the Sai's has. We need to be able to. There's certain links that I can provide you. So if you want me to do that, I'll just. Josh Adam, do you think Kuldeep Yadav deserves a chance in the third ODI? My heart says yes. My head says no. And India obviously want to win that. They've done so well. They want to finish on a high. Makes this game quite significant. The fact is the ODIs are the last of the three ODIs. It's a decider. It's the last game of the series all throughout all of the Test T20s and ODIs. So even though some people call it not important, well, it certainly is. It's a decider. It's the overall finish. It'd be very important for. It's very, 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 very important that we have that. So I'm just going to. So official. So I'm going to send you that link. We might get you on. Hang on. I'll just send you that email now. We'll get that sorted. I'll get that email to you so we can get you to join. So the idea is to bring some of the guests in to join. I wanted to be more open with what we do. I'm going to compose an email now. And we're going to. I'll just get that sent to you. Hang on. We'll get that done. Subject link. So the idea is that you have this. It's called StreamYard. So it's a location where we have our link. Let's schedule something. Look. So I'll send that link to you now. A bit of work here. We'll wait for. Give me a second, guys. Okay. That's been sent. All right. So, official side, you should have that to you now. So, I'm pretty sure England will lose Ashes 3-1. And he's saying it's a Barnstead Boy. If I'm being really honest with you, Australia has no confidence at all. It's at home, yes. Steve Smith and Lavish will probably figure. I'd even like to see Glenn Maxwell and Sam. Aaron Finch to me should be either there or thereabouts as captain. Tim Payne may still hold on. Maybe his last hurrah, we don't know. But England have got every chance to do very well. They've got a great bowling. If Wood and Archer are fit, Anderson, Broad, my God, they've got a lot of bowlers to pick from. Even Ollie Stone, they've got 5 damn good bowlers there. And having a look at the players that they've got now with, the current team, it's going to be interesting to see who they can bring in now. England have got Topley as well. Certainly is worthy of consideration. It would be something that I'd like to see. I'd like to see Topley in the squad. He looked like the goods. So the questions we're hearing from the sites are: should India bring in Chahal and Natarajan? Well, Chahal it's been very expensive and hasn't been that successful. Untitled Rahane, maybe that's an option. He could well be an option for the third ODI. I'd like to see India win the toss, to be honest with you. I'd like to see India win the toss. That would be my idea of something that would help decide whether. But I wonder what I actually wonder what will happen regarding whether, in fact, we'll see India bat first or will they send England to bat. Interesting thing. So there is a lot of excitement. The headlines here are excitement galore in Pune with series locked at 1-1. There certainly is a fair bit of excitement. You would argue that the scores will be pretty damn generous again. I'd like to see Punt again in the side. I'm assuming that he will be. I don't think there was much wrong with the Indian side, really. The bowling side, well, a little bit weak, but I think had they won the toss, that may have been a different matter. I think we need to see some of the batters stand up even more. I want to see Coley get a century. Coley is overdue for a century, and to me, is probably going to come out all guns blazing, as he did in the fifth T20 match. He came out all guns blazing in that as well, didn't he? He came out blazing in the fifth T20. Amazing effort in that regard. Barnsley, they are sporting giants in their blood. So who are the who's the sporting giants in their blood? Wood and Archer certainly are, I would argue. And I think Archer's injuries are quite serious. The cut may have been affected, it may have been damaged. They're going to do a procedure on that. So Pope and Crawley, yeah, well, they're not figuring in the white ball short version of the game, but they figured very well in the test series. I think Crawley is going to make a big mark in the series down under in Australia. And Music Harmony is expecting a daddy 100. I'm not sure what a daddy 100 is, but from Mr. Hitman, I think Robert Sharma may well do that, but I think Coley will also. I think there's going to be quite a bit of interest in tomorrow's game regarding that. But if you look at I wanted to talk about, we talked about, if you saw last night's report, which we had 12 or 13,000 people actually view that, which was quite substantial. Simon Willis, with his new fledgling 2020 podcast coming out soon in the summer, with every fortnight, I believe, and Chris Vernon, of course, they both were both. All three of us, in fact, were very, very adamant about the way that various colleagues, our captaincy. Now, we don't want to create a divide tonight. We don't want groups who are backing on both sides, but it's pretty obvious that there are divided thoughts about Coley's captaincy. I still think he's done a great job. He's a sensational captain for a lot of good reasons. But someone else was very concerned about some of the field placements, the lack of certain bowlers being used, those issues, which are certainly there. And I have to agree, there was something there. It's easy to criticise from the sidelines. It's easy to criticise a captaincy based on the sidelines. So what's your view on the overs from 11:40 with four fielders outside, a spinner bowling with four outside the ring, with batters having the reverse sweeps, and all whereas pacers have the advantage of bounce as well? Look, no one can predict what a batsman's going to do with their reverse sweep. It's virtually impossible. If there is a gap there and the batsman sees fit, he'll play a reverse sweep. But the bowler should bowl well enough, with enough bite and turn to, and perhaps the right length to actually try to avert that from happening. So it's the bowler's responsibility. You just can't say, the field wasn't set for the reverse sweep. Well, you really can't set fields for reverse sweeps. Maybe you can in modern day, you want to argue, but no. There's no way that is the case. And I think that if you bowl well enough, the reverse sweep will become irrelevant. Lakshmi Sharma, the reality is, if India had a score 360, England would have chased it by the 45th over. That's a great point, Lakshmi. Who knows how many runs England would have chased out? They were, after 43 overs, they got the 330 on. By the 40th, they were in 360. They would have been well over 400, or close to 400, by the 50th over. Gaurav Banker, India need to bat with more aggression and aim for 400. I agree. The pitch is very flat. England batsmen are great flat track bullies. I don't understand this term flat track bully, but anyway, okay, I'll accept the fact that 400 was a better score. So, Krishna, I feel that Australia should use another two bowlers in the Ashes addition to the trio. I feel that Stark was really at the end of India versus Australia. Yeah, I think Stark's temperamental, a bit like an archer is in terms of his physicality. He needs to be wary of that. The narrative doesn't have to be binary. He had a bad day, but overall, he's been a great captain. Yeah, well, that's fair enough. Let's be honest. Indian bowling was below par. I agree as well. I think the Indian batting was particularly good, but they probably could have really rammed home that total. They did, but didn't quite really throw it out there. Okay. Indians always had something against their permanent captain, be it Dhoni, Coley now. Also, social media helps in spreading propaganda. It does. Social media is brutal, brutal. But can be brutally honest as well, which sometimes you need to hear. Coley did the noble thing about going to be there for the birth of his child, for his wife, Anushka. That was very, very good. Rahane held the fort well, in fact, won the tournament. And Coley may have done the same thing, so we can't really judge against him. There are occasions when he's a bit too aggressive or expects too much out of his players because he's set such a high standard himself. But I think he's more or less the best captain they've got, without a doubt. Okay. Barnes said, boys, Coley isn't a great captain. I mean, how do you define a great captain? Who are the great captains? Well, I mean, Alan Border was, because he's got 150 in both innings. He had a crap side, and he brought them up from the carpet and made them either win or go very close to winning. That's pretty certainly. Sajal Jain, hi Norman, do you think, like Pujara, is any other player in the other team who's totally focused on tests? Australia's got players, certainly. So has India, obviously with Pujara. The New Zealand side has players that certainly aren't. You'd say Root slowly becoming that as well. Stephen Fleming, yeah, he was certainly one. McCullum, no, McCullum was a short form player extraordinaire. Williamson, no, he's pretty good at both. Dhoni was obviously excellent at the short form. His test career was also very good. Mark Taylor, absolutely. He was. A lot of Australians are only test players. I mean, even the likes of our spinner, I've got a blank. Nathan Lyon is certainly more test than ODI. He does okay, but he's a test bowler. Okay. I was surprised that even Hardik didn't get a bowl for that was a bit strange. Is he injured? He must be. Something must not be right there. If Pandya is not bowling in, he needs to play extra seamers, as the spinners are not getting any spin. The reality is that Pandya's position is extremely important, and they realise it now. So, yeah, officials say he got the best out of a bunch of young boys to win a World Cup. Absolutely. Mark Taylor, well, as I said, yeah, he's a test player. He wasn't a short-term form specialist at all. But Australia's the era of ODI specialist. I mean, Glenn Maxwell's one that's probably the reverse, where he's a T20 ODI specialist. He has played test matches, but he has never really kept his spot. Maybe he should have. Maybe they should have allowed him to do so. When you've got so many players floating around in your squads, it becomes a monumental task to try and work out who you're going to leave in and leave out. By far, it's quite disturbing, because you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. It's the same that I was saying. Having spoken to David Gravity quite a bit, and other selectors, Trevor Holmes, who's certainly one for Australia, come back a number of times. They've got to be careful. They've got to be relatively conservative. Sometimes Ravi Shastri would like them all to be bowled, and actually make bold decisions and leave punt in there, which they've done, and bring in the young guys, which they've done. And I think Ravi Shastri has a lot to answer there. I'm sure he's been influencing them greatly, and he certainly is. He was a pretty good player, good captain in my opinion, and clearly a very good coach. Music, are you saying Butler is a better captain than Morgan because England lost the first game under Owen and then were terrible? Wow. But Butler's not the best captain, and saying no way, it'll be always Joe Root and Owen Morgan. I think that's maybe long-term proposition, maybe. Clive Law was regarded as a great captain too, although he had a great team. No, regardless of the great team, there's no doubt that Clive Law was a great captain. He was a very calming influence, massive, strongly built man, had a power there that others didn't have. Okay. Divak Patel, I think India not producing that spinners which take wickets from the IPL foreigners have learnt how to play spin in white ball cricket. Yep. Fair comment. Fair cop indeed. Of course, if you're going to play enough IPL, you're going to be exposed to the Indian spinners more and more, and you're going to know what to do. And they're in the nets these days. They've got high performance nets, which is specifically for spin. There's a spin, there's a fast bowling, medium pace, swing, pitch, as in cut, plenty of that. So yeah, of course, the world batting teams are going to try to work out how to play spin. They can't just sit there and go, oh, it's too hard. If Morgan is a great captain, he should be help KKR reach the IPL final. Well, yes and no. Delhi Capitals. I'm sorry. That's my opinion. Yeah, that's true. Morgan has built a so-called team of his own. That's the boys, right? Amrish R says, what does he say? Coley's legacy is similar to Lloyd's. He's transformed the way we play Test cricket. Not saying, okay, that's it. I agree. Even when England were 200 to 1, I was expecting it will easily win because sooner or later their middle order would completely fail. But unfortunately, I overset the platform well. Yeah, very good, Neil, actually. Very good distinguishing points there. I like what you're saying. Yeah, so if we look at the content of the teams, and it won't be a great deal of change. I don't think Chahal will come in. Natarajan might be the one to bring in. He was brought in for the last of the T20s, wasn't he? And they won. You might see Coley open the batting. You don't know. Yeah, Coley's as a good leader, but tactically weak. Well, on occasions he's technically weak. He makes them look. Nobody's perfect. If you want to dissect every captain like you dissect Coley, we're going to unleash all sorts of changes. So let's not be too critical at this point. Quite frankly, India have done their best, but England have proven a very worthy opponent throughout the whole series. They won Test matches, they won T20s, and they won ODIs. They haven't been to zero in any of their tournaments here in India. The reality is that they've gone beyond most expectations, and they're going to keep going because they're going to win possibly the World Cup unless India get in the way. Luckily, every time India is winning toss, I think Coley should practice winning tosses. How can you do that? Unless you change the way you the coin or change the way you select heads over tails it's fraught with risk because it's luck has to turn your way if you keep consistently. One team can't continue to win; you will eventually have the odds of going your way. One thing I don't like about Coley is he loses a lot of tosses yet. He has to win percentage of 80% when he loses. Well, I don't think that. Well, it's proven they won the last two T20 internationals batting first, which was not what his preferred choice was. So they effectively lost the toss, and they made the decision. So I respect Coley for that immensely. Very good decision. Okay. Barnes said, boy, don't you start saying people black magic and over it dependent on the lower order for finishing, but the top order. Okay, fair enough. Needs to fire and exploit the power play. The power play is very important, absolutely. Sergeant Jane, hi Noel, what do you think on umpire call and soft signal? I don't even like the term soft signal. I don't get what a soft signal is. I really don't. The fact is the umpires are there. They make mistakes. It's a part of the game. And we should never knock an umpire. They are trying their level best to make it worthy of their time. And if they can't do that, if something goes astray, it's not because they haven't tried hard. We should leave the decisions on the field, or at least shortly after in the replay. But that's where a decision should be made. If there's a mistake made, they have to live with it. And they mostly do. I don't think there's that many penalties involved. Okay. No, Alexi Sharma, who's very busy today, is saying Coley should get some training from Dhoni to win tosses. We're getting ridiculous. You can't be training how to win a toss. You throw it one way and it's absolutely pure luck which way a toss goes. Is a good option. Okay, is Ashwin a good option for the ODI match? He won't be playing tomorrow. No. He's a good option, but they won't be playing. Ashwin, we see your question. Do you think Ashwin, we mentioned it already. All right. Buckle Data, do you think a women's IPL can succeed? Well, it kind of has already. They've already played a few games. They've played 3-way tournament. Yes, I think it can. But they've got to truly expand to all players and not pick the favourites and not allow it to become a bit of a farce, because it's worthy of its attention, is worthy of being put as a lead performer. I'm sure the girls would love to go and get paid money, which they probably deserve to get paid. Heaven help them so far. They've been paid pretty ordinarily throughout the years. So it's time they get paid better, for sure. Much, much better. Okay, so music, Abhishek Mal, the version of Ashwin's yes, but he was out of the team due to terrible 16. Well, no, you can't say he's terrible. He would be an asset to a World Cup team. Well, I don't subscribe to that thought at all. So let's appreciate that fact that we have a very, very very, very worthy captain, both Coley and Sharma as a support. I'm just looking at, I have a whole lot of statistics here. I'm trying to work out a way that we can exploit that for today. It's on the slow side. It's not coming up. Here it is. Yeah, no, it's really the series will end with a very, very positive, a decider, fully done. Even though they're playing in Perth, there'll be no bias. I'm glad that India have relented and allowed Australia to play that match there, as well as their committees. It's good. Official side thinks that Coley's a better test bowling option. Yeah, he certainly is. He certainly will bowl a lot of test cricket if he's around, I'll say that much. Music, Norman, I was just talking about Ashwin. He had terrible 16. Yeah, why he didn't get back in the team. Good point. Good point. Do you think there should be more A-team tours? Absolutely. Absolutely. Australia do it all the time. England do it all the time. England had David Graveney as the coach or manager / coach of the A sides. He's in the B side. I think there's nothing wrong with it, as long as they understand their place. They're not playing Test cricket. They're playing the same format as that. If Harding's not bowling, should he be considered for the playing 11? Oh, it's a great question. He's really in there as an all-rounder. He doesn't make it as one or the other. And they're wrong to put him as one or the other. Ravi Bishnoi. Should I be thinking about him? Official side, tell me more about Ravi Bishnoi. Why aren't you coming on? I've sent you the link. All right. All right, guys. Unless we get some more questions, I might finish the session a bit earlier today. So just, you need to be active and send me questions. Active on my Twitter handles, at Norm Koch on Twitter, or in the case of Chris Vernon, I think it's Vernon158. And always going for the batting all rounder, but not looking for a 5th and 6th bowling option. That's a reasonable point. Yeah. Maybe they're not really happy with that design for their teams. Barnstead Boy is available to come on. Are you? Do you want to come on, do you? What will your son say? What will your son say? Official site said he hasn't received a link. What was your email, official site? Send it to me. Have you got, can you tell me your email? Because I have sent an email with a link to someone. And I thought it was yours. Let's have a look. Yeah, and Sai Krishna. Is that not yours? Sai Krishna, I sent it to you actually. I sent it to a different person. You need to send it to me again. Music Harmony, can I send it to you on LinkedIn? Yeah. Let's have a look. Just getting the link. Music Harmony. I'm going to find your name again. I'm finding it hard to find your link. Music Harmony. What's your name again on the? Yes. Okay. Just give me a second, guys. I'll just get some people. You do realise, Anshuman Galton, that when you do that, you will actually have a situation where you will actually have your true person shown to the crowd as a music harmony. Chris is not on, so we can do that. Barnstead boy, I don't know. You need to. Barnstead boy, if you want the link, go ask Chris for it because Chris has got it. Unless you're on Twitter, aren't you? Okay, I'm only going to be sending things to people if they follow me on Twitter. There you go. You want to be on there. You need to send it to me on Twitter. Okay, you know my Twitter account. Send it on Twitter. Okay. If I say, is Chris on? No, he's not coming on today, but his father's on. We're trying to get him on. So, if there's something around, can't you talk to me alone? I do a lot of videos by myself. Don't forget, I've done the whole range of. I interview people for you. I do the newspapers. Very important for you to be able to engage with one person. You don't need multiple people, but you can ask your questions. Okay. So, Music Harmony, you should be on by now. I've given you the link. So, as far as the Indian team is concerned, I wanted to quickly talk about the likes of Coley versus Morgan. Morgan's obviously not playing. Coley is. Robert Sharma's elbow seems to have recovered, but there are quite a few injuries out there with Josh Archer and the like, so it's a bit of a concern. But the batting prowesses of India with Robert Sharma, there's not much of a change needed the batting lineup, only the bowling. I may see a change, but that's interesting. So Music Harmony, you can't join because there's too much noise here. That's unfortunate, but you could try, couldn't you? You could try. So if I that link, by the way, the link I've sent you is only for today. It doesn't go for every link. Every link is unique, and hence it's a way of controlling who's on there. So let's have that as one of the important points. So back to the test side. We must actually have a situation where, the ODI teams, India will probably not change their batting line. Why should they? They scored 336, which is a very, very good total. It really was more there. Hardik Pandya will probably stay. Krunal Pandya will probably stay as well. I don't think they'll be changing too much. If they've got strength of character, India will not change anyone, and they'll show that they can win with the same team and win the toss. Then they can choose whether they bat or bowl. And I even think there again, after what happened in the T20 series. Okay, who have we got here?
Hi, Norman. Good evening.
Hello. So, Sai, now, welcome, Sai. Shall I call you Sai?
Yeah, absolutely, you can.
So, in terms of your relationship, what's your handle on here? You're Sai Krishna, or
official
are you?
Sai.
Sorry?
Official Sai, that's the handle.
Oh, I can't. I'm sorry. I've got so many people with the name Sai. I've got to be careful. So, you're official
Too
Sai.
many Sais around. Yes.
Thanks for joining. And look, this was eventually, but I did mention to you before the idea of bringing people on air, didn't I? And who are so-called subscribers, who are so-called members. Now, you're a member, aren't you?
Yes, of course I am.
Okay. And your impressions of Anshuman Gautam, come on as well. What's your impressions of the Indian series so far against England? Do you think, in your opinion, that it's risen to the same heights as the Australian series?
There are two ways to look at it. Number one, in the test matches, I think there was a lot of noise around the pitches. Clearly, the Indians found out a way to score, and the English team couldn't. Uh, so, so I think if you look at the Test series, probably India was a much better team, much better, well prepared for the conditions. But when it came to the one-day series, the white ball cricket, I think both the teams were well matched. So I think the white ball games were uh, well contested rather than the red ball cricket.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think England has certainly proven to be a better opposition for India in the series, whether it's short or long version of the game. Australia played pretty well, but India were quite resounding in that. And I'd argue from what we're seeing that the pecking order is really India, England, Australia, or quite frankly,
Right.
England, India, New Zealand, and Australia. We could argue as well. Australia's fallen quite a considerable amount there. If you've seen, like I've seen, the domestic cricket that's been played here, the standard of that cricket is poor. There was an article from a guy called Andrew Wu, who's one of our leading writers in Australia, and he talked about the New South Wales team. The New South Wales is probably like, would you say, what's the strongest state in India for bringing through cricketers? Like, is it Mumbai or
I,
Maharashtra?
no, it is Mumbai, Delhi. These days, UP is doing really good.
Okay,
So
let's
it's
just call Mumbai or Maharashtra and say Delhi equal to New South Wales and Victoria in Australia in terms of importance. Our New South Wales, which has probably been the breeding ground of Test teams, Test players, had a total of 30 odd and 60 odd. I think it was awful totals. They collapsed severely against Tasmania, and they looked very ordinary. So it was one of the lowest, if not the lowest, total for New South Wales side. The batting credentials of New South Wales has fallen through the floor, which means Australian cricket, batting-wise, has fallen through the floor. As New South Wales was always the pick of both batters and bowlers, so it's very much a worry. So we've got a problem
please
there.
let me know if I'm getting wrong. But I think Brett Lee, Ricky Ponting, they all come from the Tasmanian region, right?
Yeah, but that's not been the stronghold of Test players. It's been
All
New
right.
South Wales.
Okay.
There's the Michael Clark's, Mark Taylor's, Michael Slater's, Steve Smith, Dave Warner. I could go on. There's most of the strength has come from Curtis Patterson, who was in the side recently. There are players from Victoria, WA, South Australia, and Queensland. Well, Usman Khawaja is a New South Welshman, for example. Tasmania's had some players, namely Ricky Ponting, Tim Payne, although you would argue, he was in there for a reason. Matthew Wade's not from Tasmania, he's from Victoria, but he's playing for Tasmania. Peter Sybil, I think, is playing for Tasmania as well, but he's also Victorian. So no, Tasmania is not a stronghold of cricketers. They do breed some good cricketers there. Yeah. So let's have a look what else we got. Anshuman Galton, Music Harmony, you can join. I've sent you a link, so if you want to join, you can join. Switch on the link. Barnstead Boy, do you want to join? Oh, so hang on. Chris has banned his father. That's almost worthy of an interview. That is like the father-son demarcation.
It's
bring
lovely
my son.
having Chris.
Sorry?
It's actually lovely having Chris on the show.
Oh, Chris
honestly.
is fantastic. Chris and I invited Chris from the very start. He was someone I obviously knew, and I needed a good English perspective that wasn't necessarily a Test player, but he's in and around a bunch. And then Simon Willis is a personal friend, and then the likes of Adam Hollyoak and Monty Pan, so they've all been on. They will come back again. They've been on quite a bit. So let's be very fortunate that we've had these people on as much as we have. In fact, Alan Mullally was supposed to be on today. He was sent the link. I don't know why he didn't send it. Why he didn't come up, but that's okay.
Norman, actually, I had a question for you.
Right.
Maybe everybody in the comment section can actually contribute. What do you think in terms when you compare the bowling attacks around the world now? Where do you see the Indian pace attack at this moment? And because we saw when we came to Australia this year, we saw that there were only three quick bowlers which played the entire series, so they did not have a fallback bowling attack. So do you think that was a differentiator between India when India played Australia in Australia? Now, similarly, India has a group of fast bowlers who will go on to play in the England series. Do you think it's going to be the same with India, that they would rely on certain bowlers in the English condition, or India has got more variety?
Okay. First of all, Australia's bowling unit, which we've talked about, Cummins, Hazelwood, Stark, are all from where? New South Wales. The whole lot of them. Even Nathan Lyon is deemed to be New South Wales now. He's not originally, but he was from Young, which is close to Canberra, so he's another one. So they saw that they were a bowling unit, and they created partnerships in their bowling, and that's the reason why they were kept together. So it's not so much they didn't have more depth. Like James Pattinson was certainly there. They had
Right.
They had other bowlers, so don't worry. They had backup bowlers, but they chose to keep them together because of the bowling unit nature, and actually were copping so much flack about rotation that they went against rotation somewhat as well, which I really personally believe very strongly in. The Indian situation is a bit different because they had injuries galore. They were forced changes. It wasn't a rotation. Mohammad Siraj would never have gotten a go if Sharmi and Yadav and the rest were all fit. They would have not played Siraj at all. Or even Tyagi got a bit of a go, I think, at one stage. The reality is none of those players would have, another Rajan got a go because there were injuries, there weren't rotation, which was fortunate for India, which has actually bolstered them now. The Australian situation may appear as if they only had three. Well, they had more. They got much more than that. In fact, our bowling is probably stronger, in my opinion, than our batting at the moment in terms of depth.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's
Their bowling
issue.
is much attack.
Yeah.
Right.
So no, I don't compare. It's not necessarily good to compare the way India, England, and Australia are going about their bowling. I absolutely despise the word rotation. That is just crap. You don't say, "Oh, okay, if you had your cycle now, you're not playing. Why are you just not playing?" Well, if you need it on the day, you should be playing. And Adam Holyoke and I agree with that. The best player should play on the day, regardless of whether he's played 10 or 1. If he's the best player for the day, he plays. So the true sense of the word rotation is more resting players and injury-related resting. It's not just resting because they're bowled X amount of overs. They're rested because they are carrying an injury. Jofra Archer cut his hand, we're finding out now. I read it earlier about that.
Right.
He has the chronic elbow. When you have a chronic elbow injury, it doesn't go away. It's there. Unless you have complete rest, it may taper off, but the chronic injury implies it'll be there unless you operate on it or you completely not use it. And those two options are not going to happen. So I'm really against the word rotation. I think it's resting, or in situations where forced injuries bring a change or conditions bring a change. And Chris Wokes is the best example. He should not have gone home. He didn't bowl at all.
Right. So he did not play a single match in the entire tour.
Well, that doesn't make sense. If he was rotated or rested, that has to be laughed at. But we've got to also include now time away from family and COVID restrictions, which is another category altogether. If you've been locked in a bubble for 9 months and haven't seen your family, whether you played one day or all the days, that's another telling tale. That's probably why Chris Wokes was allowed to go, because he was effectively away from his home or family, and that probably affected him as much. And if it's mentally affecting them, it's just as bad as physically, as we know.
Right.
If they're mentally being affected by that, well, then there's a problem.
Right. Do you also think that they should have not let Oli Stone go?
Let him go, yeah. I mean, he was always a fringe. He's still a great bowler, but he was a bit of a fringe. And I'm very impressed with Topley. I think he looks the goods, and his left arm. So that's another contingent. Why he's in the side, why Sam Curran's in the side. Tom Curran, no one understands why he's in the moment. He's just not up to it. He just seems to lack the ability to play at that level. He may have good.
Do you know the kind of price he got for this year's IPL?
Who?
Tom Curran. Yeah.
No.
He won't deserve. I mean, the entire. I think he went out for somewhere 9 crores. That's pretty expensive. That's really expensive.
Yeah, I'm not. Something has gone wrong there. Sam's a better proposition. Tom is not. I actually know the third brother very well. He was in Australia. I met him only a month or two ago when he was here. He's actually pretty good, but I don't know what's happened to him. He's not in the player. Well, India will. There's comments here in the actual comments to say about India will come back. Look, I'm pretty sure India's going to win this third match, just the way they did the fifth T20 international. They're going to come back with great force. Have they deliberately let England win the second match? No, but it's worked out to be a great finish. No one would do that.
I think Indian bowling was really below par yesterday. Definitely, the track was very flat, and as soon as the spinners went for runs, probably India did not have anything to fall back to.
I think they just had I think it was an off day, to be honest. I had an off day. It wasn't so much that they
because
you shouldn't drop players because they have an off day. That's not the way we need to operate on that. If they're clearly not capable, Tom Curran should be dropped. Simple.
Do you think Kuldeep Yadav is going to play the next game tomorrow?
I think he will. I really do. I think, but I mean, I'm not the selector, so I don't know. But I think you can't keep putting a person in for one game and expect them to perform miracles and then not have them the next game. You can't.
That's true. That's true with KL Rahul as well.
No one should be selected. KL Rahul is a great example where it's been a success. He played 4 games. He didn't play the 5th game, not necessarily because he wasn't a good player. They thought it wasn't appropriate that game. And look at him now. He scored a century in the ODI. Looks absolutely fantastic. Hardik Pandya looked really good too, but he's got a bowl, as we've said. Sabadon Ranjan, is he your friend? Great work. Saurav Pandya. Australia are logically and scientifically strong, so they always look superior and threatening. So the team does not take it lightly. Well, actually, that whole concept of logically and scientifically they're strong is going very quickly. Australia will dip. As I've just warned you, the New South Wales team, the nursery of the future Test players, especially batting, is weak as hell. The only player that I rated very highly, and I interviewed him on another show I had 4 years ago called Through the Eyes of a Cricketer, which I think, have you seen that? Did you see those interviews on the other?
Not. Yeah, I was. Okay. I closely follow your interviews, so I get a sense of the cricket in Australia. But coming to the Australian cricket, I really want to ask this because the next big thing for fans around the world is who is the next Australian Test captain. For sure, not Tim Paine.
I actually think it'll be Aaron Finch. And they've got no choice. They've got no choice.
Will he fit into the Test squad? That's important.
Yeah, he will be. Tim Paine was not a part of the Test squad. He was brought back into the team and captain, didn't he? Aaron Finch is captain very well in the shorter format. He has the respect to the change room. A lot of the players are in him. He's well supported by the likes of David Warner and Steve Smith, which is very important. And I actually think that on that basis, he'll be selected. But look, that's the word I'm hearing. We'll wait and see. Tim Paine may hold on too long. Why not Marnus? Marnus Labuschagne is not captain at any level. Aaron Finch is captaining Australia. Aaron Finch is captaining Australia now, and his state level now, and has done it for a long time. He has the exposure, especially at the level of test, well, at least Australian level. Why wouldn't you put the person as captaining the other formats into the Test level? Of course you would. You should. Absolutely you should. He should be in there. If you have the support of your team, you're as good as an all-rounder. If that makes any sense to you. A captaincy is a bit like, when now all-rounders were batters, bowlers, right? That's what we always traditionally saw as an all-rounder. Now it's batters, keepers. Well, why not have batters, captains? I think that's the captaincy of a team.
How about Pat Cummins? How about Pat Cummins?
No, he's a bowler, and there's so many wrongs in that. So many wrongs in that. He's not. He's a nice guy. He's a lovely bloke, and maybe he's already vice captain. Doesn't mean he should captain. Why make him when he can still vice captain? He can still be a major part of the decision-making process. Leave him a vice-captain. Don't elevate him to a captaincy, which he will not maintain. No.
So in the long term, do you see? So in the long term, do you see only Aaron Finch as the probable option
No.
for?
He's our only choice now, and because he's captaining the other formats. He should be Test. I personally think, if I'm being honest, Jason Sangha, who was the Australian under-19 captain, if his batting were to be up to the standard, because he scored centuries against England, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, the full England, Pakistan, Sri Lanka sides on tours of Australia. He scored big centuries in important matches. He just hasn't been able to do that for New South Wales. If he did that for New South Wales, he would be captain of Australia because he was the under-19 captain and performed admirably and was matching it against Prithvi Shaw and Shubman Gill and those people. He was at their level. Jason Sangha is an amazing player. If something's gone wrong a bit the last season, so his batting's a bit below par, but he should be the next captain, which means he's got a couple of years to go before he can be in there, but he would be my next captain. Okay.
I think he played the same World Cup with Prithvi Shaw and Shubman Gill, if I'm not wrong. He was captain of the Australian side.
Yep. And he's an excellent orator. He's an excellent temperament. Has a great knowledge of the game. Proved his captaincy. His batting was Laxman-like. Honestly, he bats brilliantly. He scored centuries against the full touring England side, the full touring Sri Lankan and Pakistan side when they're touring. He scored big centuries. My God, he should have been picked by now. He played with Bukowski, and he was better than Bukowski in that series. So
then why he is not in the Australian team till now?
Well, it's because he has lost a bit of form for New South Wales, and he needs to have a good domestic season. And I would then be putting him. I think he would be even out of form. He would show his form when he plays. So that's my opinion. I think that he should be the next. So tell Norman, how can India win them tomorrow? Well, India can win by batting first. Sorry, batting second. They probably need to do that now. They had a very good run with the T20s where they were, but I think they're waning a little bit. And I think if England are put under pressure and bat first, then India can India will absolutely. It'll do exactly what England did to India. India will do it to England. There's no doubt. Coley, Pandya, Punt, they'll come out and murder whatever score they have to by batting second. It's very difficult to post a score, which they did do. 330 was effectively the highest ODI
337 they scored yesterday. 337 they scored yesterday.
Yeah. So the reality is that they should just win the toss and then make England bat first and India bat second, and they'll win easily. But they're going to win tomorrow.
So would you like to see any changes in the Indian bowling tomorrow?
England? Or only
Indian bowling tomorrow.
Sorry? England?
Indian bowling. Any changes in the Indian bowling?
No.
Would you not like to see an extra spinner in Chahal or something?
Well, extra spinner? Do you think that's what they need? If it's a flat track?
I think they need to rest Kuldeep. Because he's down in his confidence is really low at this moment. I understand the sentiments around playing him, but I think he needs a little bit of time out and Chahal to get in.
Kuldeep,
yeah. Kuldeep to rest and Chahal to get in.
But if you look at the bowling lineup and their wickets, let me just pull that up. Let's have a look at the game. Where is it? Let's look at the bowling lineup.
Or maybe somebody like Natarajan, Sai Krishna just says.
Bhuvi Kumar was hit for 63, but he's bowling very well. Krishna took 2 wickets. He didn't bowl badly at all. Shardul Thakur was a bit more expensive, but he still played so well. Kuldeep was hit for a lot of runs, yes. Krunal Pandya was hit for even more runs. Krunal's probably the only one a little bit more in danger. Kohli is a weakling, but then no one bowled that well really out of that lot. But
true.
Who did they have in the previous match? They had. You think maybe Chahal should come in for Kohli? Is that what you're saying? He was bashed around too.
He was in the first T20 when India lost.
Then he got hit around.
Uh,
He got hit. He
yeah,
got hit out of the
absolutely.
attack.
Then he got around. Yeah, but the point is, if Krunal goes out, you want to have somebody who can hold the bat as well. So it might be Washington Sundar or maybe a fast bowler, because India has to then reduce one batsman. That's the only way, the only option
Where's
to
Siraj?
accommodate extra bowler.
Mohammed Siraj, is he out?
Yeah, he is, but
Well, I would have him in.
then India has to drop an
Okay.
extra bowler.
Maybe Mohammed Siraj for Coley. Mohammed Siraj for Coley. I don't think it should be another spinner in, honestly. This pitch is a flat track.
It
good
is.
pace bowling.
No doubt.
Good pace bowling is what they need for this particular match. And it's 50 overs.
How about Natarajan?
Yeah,
With
he's
his leg.
also. Well, he came in for the last T20 match and did surprisingly well. Why not? But I don't know.
I think
by dropping bowlers from the 10, they're acknowledging that they've got the wrong side for the final. I don't know. If India, whatever bowlers India have out of the mix we've just told, and if England bat first, India will run their total down. Okay, I think
that's being very confident.
England will get a pretty good score, but India will run that total down under the pressure of the match. Look at the way they played.
Extremely optimistic.
No, but the fifth T20I. Do you see the way they bat? Rohit Sharma and Coley opened? They absolutely murdered them. I would argue.
Absolutely, Rohit is.
No, but
Rohit is spending.
They may. Why not let Coley open again? And deciders bring Coley open.
Oh, I would love to. In fact, the other day we were discussing that on the comment section. I mean, we would love to see Kohli and Rohit start the innings. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe somebody like Rahul can be number 3.
Yeah, I think he can be a stable part of the batting line. I think let Coley open, let him go big with Rohit Sharma. Those two together are dynamite. And look, the T20. Let's go back to the T20I 5th match. Who was in that side should be in the side. Simple. That team murdered.
So we are saying Natarajan is in.
Yes.
So we are saying Natarajan is in.
I would say yes.
I think we should take the opinion of the people who are on the comment section.
Well,
I think
why did Natarajan come in for the last match of the T20 match? Why did he come in for the last match only? And he played really well. Well, do it again.
Right. I think, and he was successful in the last game, so he bowled really well.
They had that team absolutely smoked England. So where is that team now? I should bring him in. Okay. All right. Barnstead boy says we want you on, not you, but the other side. Christian needs to come on. I've sent him the link as well, and I've sent a few others. Okay. All right. How are we going? We've done a pretty. I've got a pretty long session here. We've done pretty well.
I think Chris is just here.
Sorry?
Chris just said hello.
That's not the real Chris, I don't think.
Oh, all right.
I don't. No, he wouldn't just say hello. He would say more than hello. Okay. Let's have a look. So you're seeing all the comments, obviously, as we speak, aren't you? Sorry.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay. I really don't want to talk about the pitch anymore. I think Pramod Srinivas, don't talk about the pitch because we know it's progressively getting flatter. It's going to be a batter's pitch. There's no doubt. And that's good.
It is. Let's not talk about pitch. In India, for limited white ball cricket, you're going to have pitches like this.
If India bats first, if India wins the toss, England bats first, India bats second, they'll smoke it. They'll get it in a canter. Even if England get 350, India will get the 350. And Rohit Sharma and Coley will open. Why they did it for the fifth?
I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised if it is done because India has done it in the past. I remember a couple of games against Australia. They chased down 360 odd runs very comfortably.
I've got little doubt that they're going to do it. They did it for the T20I for the last game and they smoked it.
Absolutely.
And if Coley keeps himself true to form, he'll actually do that. So all right. So Chris Vernon, is that really Chris Vernon? I don't think it is. No.
No, I don't think so either.
No. Chris hasn't got a C for his name. It's not him. No, I'm afraid it's not. I wish we could somehow change it. So okay. All right, guys. We're going to have our preview show tomorrow at, I think it's 12:30 India time, IST, followed by the post game. Always when it comes to the post game, hang in there because we might start a bit later for whatever reason. Don't be concerned by that. Gaurav Banker, India is struggling in the ODI. Lost 3-0 in New Zealand, 2-1 in Australia. Yeah, I don't think they're struggling at all. Umpire standards in India need to improve. Well, if they do,
That's
around the world.
That's true.
And I would like to see, and I think we mentioned it last night, Chris, with Simon and I, we mentioned the fact that umpires should be able to umpire regardless whether they're Indian or not at home. It's a stupid, I mean, umpires not going to be prejudiced or cheat because it's their home country. No way. We've proved that in Australia.
I think we should, if the players can be in a bio bubble, I think the elite umpires should be able to cope in bio bubbles even.
Yeah, but either way, an umpire is there for a reason. He's gone through the mill to get to that level. You can't take them lightly. They're not corruptible. They've gone through. The ICC scrutinised the hell out of the people, and they're watched like a hawk. Don't worry if they're playing. There's no way that an umpire deliberately throws a dismissal against the grain. No, I don't agree with that at all. All right, so we'll stay tuned, guys, tomorrow. So, okay, I'm not sure that's Chris there. Anyway, all right, guys, thanks for coming on, Si. So thanks for coming on. I appreciate you coming on, and I hope you enjoyed it. So you can.
Thank you so much, Norman. Thanks for having me here.
My pleasure. I'm just going to take my little standard photo I take with people.
Sure.
There we are. So where are you based again? What city?
I'm in Delhi, Norman. I'm from Delhi.
Okay. So whereabouts in Delhi?
Sorry?
What part of Delhi?
South Delhi.
Name the place.
If you know Vasant Kunj.
Where?
Vasant Kunj.
I have heard of that. I mean, I played a bit of cricket there. I was at the Indian consulate there in Delhi. We flew into the Delhi Capital's home ground. We spent a bit of time there. We played some cricket there. So we had Noidas. Is it Noidas? South of
Noida is in. It is definitely inside the NCR region, but Noida is in the state of Uttar Pradesh, UP. Right.
All right. Okay, guys. I'm going to hit the sack. I've got a mother in hospital. I had a very, very worrying day. It's not the best of days. So thanks again to Si for coming on. Thanks to all our.
Thank you so much, Norman. Please take care. Please take care.
No worries. And thanks again for the comments from everybody. It's been fantastic. We need to now make sure that we keep this going. We've got to make sure that all of you, and Si included, get your WhatsApp groups. Keep sharing it. Don't just assume people are watching. You're my greatest salespeople. You've got to bring people on deck. You've got to talk to people about it. I'm expecting everybody to see this through you guys. Don't forget you've all got 20 or 30 people you can influence. That's up to you to do that. Don't expect it just to happen. And make sure that they subscribe, because subscribing costs you nothing. So it's a very minimal amount of effort to do that. And it helps the overall channel grow, and we get more ability to be able to have members get more activities, more people across. Once COVID finishes, we'll have dinners, events right throughout the year. Okay. Now, Lakshmi Sharma saying, well done. You're the second person.
She was the first.
She was the first one. She did a good job. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll talk again.
Thanks for it.
All right, guys. So don't forget to. Thanks. I'll let you go now. I'll just do a little bit of a monologue. So you can say goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah, bye-bye. So, again, view, like, and share the post. Share in your WhatsApp groups to colleagues, friends, acquaintances, whomever you might be dealing with. Go about sharing this, getting them to subscribe. If they want to become members, that's even better. More exposure, the better it'll be. Super stickers, got all sorts of stuff. We want you to be able to join. Thanks, Barnes, said boy, and other people. That's not Chris Vernon, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, so let's talk tomorrow. We're going to have a lot more to deal with then. In fact, there'll be some more press releases, I think, too. And we'll be able to share it all. So goodbye to you all. Thanks for coming. Again, this is Norman Kochnick for Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. Talk soon.